Ibali Lokuvuka. This is the comeback story, but with an edge and a difference. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Jerome Mampane to this episode of Ibali Lokuvuka. Now, Dr. Jerome Mampane, a lot of you might know him as a team doctor for the Springboks. Yes, the very same World Cup winning Springboks. But what you might not know is that he's also part of the medical team at Kaizer Chiefs, the biggest football club in South Africa. We want to know about him and his history and how he managed to turn his passion of medicine and work in the sporting environment. Dr. Jerome, welcome to Ibali Lokuvuka. Where were you born and what are some of your earliest sporting involvements and memories?
Yeah. So I was born in Mafikeng, in the northwest. I spent maybe a year of my life in a place called Pampierstad. So from Pampierstad, then I went to live with. So it was first with my grandmother, and then I lived with my folks in Mamelodi. And I mean, where we stayed in the township, the place was called SNS back then, and you know,
SNS, was it Pretoria Township?
In Mamelodi.
In Mamelodi,
yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
But it's if you look at it, it's quite a tumultuous time in South Africa, I think, at that point. And maybe that's why I can be grateful to my folks, is tough choices that they had to make about, is it the correct environment to grow in? Soldiers coming in maybe a little bit regular into the township. Do you really want to grow up around that? Do you want to grow up around militant youth where maybe they're influencing? It sounded like they were getting to a point of influencing me as a child.
Yeah.
And my folks made the tough choice. They looked at it and said, look, maybe they just need to find a better life for us. So we moved to Tembisa. It was another township, but at that point it was starting up. It was still new. Hospital View was still so small, and that was a different lifestyle when we got there. Completely different to what I was used to.
So the influence of sport, and then ended up playing hockey. Yeah. Tell me about that.
No, that was more from CBC. So as soon as we started at CBC, there was exposure to just different sports. I mean, it was a swimming pool at school.
Yeah.
Something I'd never seen in my life. And then there were sports fields. There was a track. There was a cricket field. There were cricket nets.
So you just wanted to partake in almost everything.
It's like a child in a candy store. You know what I mean? They let you out, and it's something that is, I don't know, sometimes some things are just built into you.
Yeah.
So I think the sporting passion, the running part, those things were in me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed running back then. I think I was somewhat semi-quick in the school. I had a bit of endurance, and then they exposed me to soccer, and I could play it there, and I could develop like that. Then I was exposed to hockey, and geez, I saw that I could play this thing. I could do this thing well. I tried rugby. I was terrible. I didn't understand it. Thankfully, I didn't get tackled, and it didn't work out.
It did very well.
It didn't work out then.
Yeah, first time I played rugby, I got bounced. Embarrassingly.
I don't have that terrible memory. I have it only in high school. But that was the first part where maybe I started feeling like sport could be something spectacular. And then I think my folks did their best to support me in it. Every now and then when they could be there for when you're young, I mean, you're between ages 9 to 13. It's great your parents come on a Saturday to watch you play.
Yeah.
So they would do that, and that's
incredible.
Yeah. Look, the days that they could.
Yeah.
It changes your outlook, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're a big part of why those things happen. And from Sutherland, maybe then you grow. You have to pick sport. When you get to high school, you have to pick a sport.
That's it.
That's it. And then I'm fortunate. I grew up in a era where you were forced, if that's what the correct term is, to actually participate in sport.
No, you couldn't.
No, you don't sit.
You couldn't sit around.
Yeah.
Let's move forward to the part where you a doctor.
Yeah.
So did you have the focus to say that as soon as I'm qualified, done my internship,
I do sport,
I'm going straight to sport first day?
So the story of it maybe begins with something where my cousin and I are together, I think in high school.
Yeah.
And we're watching maybe the FIFA World Cup. I think it might have been might have been 94, no.
94.
It's either 94 or 98. One of the two that we were watching. I think it was 98 actually. When we watched, I said to him, "Shoo, I want to lift a World Cup." I want to maybe play, maybe be part of a football team that lifts the World Cup. But unfortunately, with the woes of Bafana, I didn't know. I just thought still I would try and have a go at it. And my dad, I don't know how he did it. I still don't understand. He had a cell phone back then, those bar phones, whatever. My mother had the flip one, my dad had the other one. So I don't know how he managed to do it. Tim Noakes phoned the house on the landline.
Tim Noakes.
Yep. Phoned 1999. I didn't know who this man was. I sat down, we spoke. He says to me on the phone, I was just asked to phone you. You're interested in I hear you want to work in sports medicine. I said, I was thinking of becoming a physio in sports. And he said to me, nah, man, do medicine. And it's a strange conversation. I mean, I don't know this guy, but I was just like, oh, okay, fine, no problem.
You're going to do medicine. That was it.
That was it.
So we have Tim Noakes, to thank.
I can't believe how first just the phone call itself. I think I would go on to tell him about it. I think maybe some 10 years later or 12 years later. That I don't know how you phoned my house and why. But anyway, thanks.
Did you remember?
No. No. He had no memory of it.
How did your sports medicine career lead you to be part of the Springboks? And you were first involved with the Springboks, I think, 2016.
That's it. Yeah.
And when you joined, there was a lot of optimism.
Yeah.
Because the second black Springbok head coach, Alistair Coetzee, had come on, and surrounded by black professionals, such as yourself.
Yeah.
How was that versus also a time in between where things didn't really work out too well?
Yeah. Look, first a lot of excitement. I was coming from the junior box.
Yeah.
We, I should add, were chronically losing to England in playoff matches.
Yeah.
And then, I just never saw it coming. I had set my targets like this, that I want to do Olympics probably that very year, the 2016 year. I thought to myself, okay, I've worked hard, I've been a part of SESCOC events, I'll maybe go to the Olympics. And I cannot tell you, maybe Craig Roberts just decided to move to Bournemouth.
I do remember Dr. Craig Roberts, actually.
So
he did decide to go to
When he decided to go, the vacancy was there. And because there were developmental pathways for us in Saru, then, I don't know, I guess I was next in line. It was weird for me, but weird and wonderful at the same time. And the opportunity, I don't know, when they tell you, right, and then you phone your wife and then you're trying to say, dude, I can't believe what's happened.
What's happened, yeah.
And I think it was around April when I was told that. And when I was told that, now I'm phoning my wife and I'm like, dude, can you believe it? You know what I mean? I didn't see this coming. I thought we were still going to fight in this year, 2019, to actually see who I'm going to go up against to try and go for this job.
Part of the team.
But I guess I had confidence in what they'd done for us to develop us. And it was good. Alistair was, as a person, a really good guy. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed spending time with him. It was like spending time with Steve Compella, man, for me. It was like you could have a conversation
about life.
Just about life. And I don't know, I've worked with coaches that maybe at once were aloof. You can't even connect with a guy because he's in his own element. And then I've worked with coaches that you could just connect. And I felt like I could just connect with Alistair, even though he was under a lot of pressure at that point in time. And the circumstances just around that time, I think, were very tough. I was new. I'm not naive to the fact that we live in South Africa. So, I mean, you're getting a new, young black doctor. He's got braces. He looks like he's 12 years old. Of course, for some, it's an adjustment. That stuff never worried me. I mean, the reality of it is that if you look at it, at that point, if I counted the amount of black sports medicine professionals in, specifically doctors in rugby, maybe Arthur Williams might still have been at the Stormers then. Other than that, it was just myself and Arthur at that point. And it was okay because the guy, I don't remember the exact name of the doctor who'd been the Springboks team doctor in the World Cup in 2007, but that was the first person of color to do it. And he had a winner's medal, so what was stopping the rest of us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What could make us doubt that we couldn't
Absolutely.
reach that? It was Yusuf.
Yeah.
But we went through that 2016 season trying to find our feet. I'd worked with Tanushree Pillay, the physio, for a while. Vivian Fervant was also the other physio.
Vivian's been there for a long time.
That's it. He had been a long time. So he did his best to just help us settle as well.
Calm you guys down.
And then, so we were quite new. I mean, Warren Adams, who was a conditioning coach just before I led, Warren has moved on to Japan. That team was young. We were coming from different environments. I'd been with the women's teams. I'd been with the Springboks Sevens for a little bit. I'd been with the SA Under-20s. But Warren, at least I'd met him from the SA Under-20s. Tanu I'd met from earlier on with the women's teams.
Yeah.
So those things were supposed to help us.
And the lessons that you took from that period,
Yeah.
now you're going to the Rugby World Cup. Now you're brought into Rassie Erasmus's
Yeah.
vision. How was the experience, first and foremost? And what did you take from your past experiences that you've mentioned from the SA junior teams, women's teams, and everything else in between that you'd say helped you keep a level head,
Yeah.
remain focused on the task as this team goes to the Rugby World Cup, not given a hope in hell of bringing it back? Tell us about that.
When Rassie took over, it was an interesting conversation, because there was a conversation about, okay, I understand the things that have happened, but how do we progress you then in this development pathway?
Yeah.
And it was a good conversation, because one of the things I spoke with him about was, for me, I've done a lot of junior World Cups, so you're not going to shock me with junior World Cups. And when it comes to the senior World Cup and returning to the Springboks, I do not want that, say I'm to continue on. I don't want to go into a 2023 World Cup wet behind the ears. I don't know, and I'm still very excitable about the things that are around me. I wanted to be prepared.
Yeah.
So we spoke about such things, we planned it out, and I guess the agreement and the decision with regards to my pathway was, okay, let's get you back into the Springboks. First doing home tests in 2018, and then at the end of 2018, you were fully with the team. I always was passionate about the under-20 environment. They gave me a platform to grow. And meeting, I mean, it's learning, it's meeting all those guys. So, you know, you talk about the Jesse Krills, the Malcolm Marks, I'd known those guys from 2014, 100 Pollards. So for me, it's almost like I was coming back to a place where I'm like, oh, okay, hey, Malcolm, hey, hey, Jesse. It was like that. Nothing was new.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted out of this kind of growth thing. So that's,
Yeah. At the World Cup now.
Yeah.
Lots of things. Siya Kolisi, the captain, in doubt. We know there's a few guys who can buckle from time to time, Dwayne Vermeulen. We lost Trevor in unfortunate circumstances, Jesse Creel. You know, just managing the team in that background, your medical team and the physios and all those guys, how did you manage to keep the team still together, even with all these things that can happen in a rugby tournament? I mean, those aren't unique problems to South Africa. A lot of teams lost players during and in between. So, yeah, tell us about that Japan experience.
Look, a lot of great fortune, I'd be honest with you.
Yeah.
And also good sound work from the medical team as a whole. I mean, I don't think I've mentioned it, that we had Conrad von Hagen, who was the head of the medical team.
Yes.
And then we had myself as a second doctor, and we had Tanushree Pillay, Renee Naylor, and Vivian Fervant, and Z joined us as the dietitian. Z at Simji. But just the planning around, first with the coaches, so the understanding of what was required. I think if you looked at 2018 and just those alignment camps combined with the conditioning camps, it's almost like soldiers
that you had during Super Rugby, like
that's it.
In
those things
gaps.
were preparing soldiers for war. That's what it was. And the reality was, after 2018, maybe, I don't know if the public could be confident, but we were confident. Because you could see just a definite direct change. I mean, 2018, you beat New Zealand in New Zealand.
Like World Cup winning confident.
That's what I mean. Because you almost build momentum, you know what I mean? So you look at it as, okay, fine, are we now fit enough to handle these guys? Yes, we are. And the fitter we get, the less prone to injury we become. So those issues were also starting to get worked out by how much good...
Alan Walters, conditioning coach as well.
That's it.
I forgot to mention him. Yeah,
no, that's it. But the good hard work and preparation that was going to it and understanding was affecting just how much we were seeing guys in the medical team, in the medical room. But also what was helping is that, look, I'd always credit those physios. Those guys work hard. Those guys really work hard. So the plans that were afoot and the amount of work that went into it, those guys are exceptional people. If I turned around and you asked me to refer you to anyone, I'd refer you to those guys because I've seen how hard they work. I understand their work ethic, and also their knowledge is amazing.
Also in a pressure environment every week.
Yeah.
And now you've got, there was anxious moments when we lost Cheslin Colby with that niggling ankle.
You see, that's the
play
thing.
In the semi-final.
I mean, use Trevor's example. Trevor's been prepared for how long? He had struggled maybe the years before with certain weight issues, but suddenly he's moved on. He's become one of the best props in the world. And then, they work hard to actually help Trevor prepare. He picks up a knee injury against Japan, but he goes home for a little bit. It's managed well. He comes back. You think to yourself, it'll go smooth, but maybe that's why I enjoy the other under-20 experiences, that it never goes smooth. I understood that from all those previous tournaments. So Trevor gets injured, Jesse gets injured first game. You almost now have to make secondary plans. So there were high pressure situations for us as a team. I'd say to you, it was difficult. There were challenges, especially when Cheslin got injured. That was an interesting challenge. It was a question of how do we balance out, you talk about it in sports medicine when you're being taught. You talk about your Olympic star is supposed to go into the final of the 100 meters. And he's a medal hopeful.
And he's not 100%.
And he's not 100%. He's got a hamstring tear. Do you let him run? Do you not let him run? The conversations we had with Rassie were useful. They were brilliant. We had a conversation just before the semi-final where the coach was saying, in fact, before the quarterfinal, where he was saying something. He said it like this, which I thought was brilliant. He said, the reality of it is that now we're here, right? And this is our final. So playing Japan is our final. You know what I mean? And then...
So everything else...
If we don't get past this hurdle, we're done.
That's the tournament.
So this is our final. So how do we work to get our best guys available? So we worked hard, put in a good plan for Cheslin. He did well. He did very well, and he looked prepared for that match, and we went with it. It's just unfortunate that, when you've had a previous injury and then you get into a situation like that, lots of running, your ankle's twisted. I don't know if you watch that match again, you'll see he ends up grimacing a lot.
There was actually 2 moments where he actually grimaced. The worst one, I think, is when 2 players was fielding a ball, one hit him low and one hit him not high as an illegal high.
Yes, but it was
they chopped him high, so he was bent backwards, and you could actually hear him wince in pain.
Again, question. Say he didn't have the ankle injury. Say it was someone else. Would they also have experienced the issue? Probably they would have twisted as well in those situations. So I don't know why it happened to him.
But when you have that niggle,
it's like they're chasing the one.
It's like the one place that's going to get hurt.
He struggled through it, and maybe good decisions were made, but we got to the
good call to bring in Smoo in the semi-final against Wales.
Excellent call.
Excellent call.
It gave Cheslin time to build momentum again, build confidence again, and then it also brought us to that point again of making the choice. You know what I mean? You have your Olympic sprinter. He's going into a final. And he needs to win a gold medal, and he has a chance of really winning a gold medal. Do you let him run, or do you say, I'm not sure? And so we went through. We trusted the systems. We trusted the player. He trusted the plan. He participated. It's a testament to the quality of people you work with. When you work with high performance athletes, they have, especially those ones, for some reason they have a different resilience, they have a different commitment to work, and their ethic is unbelievable. So when we went there, you could tell Cheslin the plan. He could buy into the plan. He already bought into the coaching plan. I mean, that was obvious how he was playing. But you could work those things out, and the exceptional thing was that he came out of it good. he came out of it actually scoring a try. So you see Bongi jumping up and down. You don't see us jumping up and down like crazy, because it's like, dude, for final, everything we did, there's the guy. He's there.
That was it. Yeah. That's what made it worth it. And to wrap up our conversation, the final against England, you're probably thinking, oh boy.
My wife sent me a message. My wife actually sent me a message. Again. She said she wrote it like that the time they'd won. She was like, oh my gosh, not England again. Because she knew the history, like 5 years in a row. England, lost.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. We were nervous, but I remember a conversation with Matt Proudfoot. It was maybe 2 days before. Yes, it was 2 days before. It was still one of our physical days. So it wasn't even captain's run. And he just said, I feel sorry for England. After his scrumming sessions. He just said, I feel sorry for England. And then
So Beast, Bongi, the front rows, Frans Malherbe, Thomas du Toit, Malcolm Marx, who's the other tight head? Steven Kitsoff was the loose head. Man, so those guys were pumped.
No, they were
Vincent
pumped. They were pumped. They were so pumped that I think that's why I would have loved for Kyle Sinclair to stay on a little bit.
So that it's real.
It needed to just eliminate the myth that you would have done something.
If he hadn't been injured in the second minute,
I honestly think Beast was going to fold him in half. That's what I think. I think they can be as confident, or they can throw as many arguments our way. The fact is, the learnings I had from those previous things is that you are as good as your preparation for that match. So our preparation was preparation of champions, from the planning phase to the execution phase of that week to the getting to playing. We were you can't beat readiness like that. You know, when you walk out and then it's like, it's this exam and there's nothing more to learn. They're just getting out there doing it.
There's no cramming, last minute cramming.
No cramming, no nothing. Rassi had this thing that he likes saying. He's like, we're gonna give destiny a go. You know what I mean? And if it's not our chance, it's not our chance. But we're gonna give it one hell of a go. We were better prepared than them. I'd back that statement. I'd sit back and say we were better prepared. I think if you look at our momentum and our development from the past 2 years leading up to that moment. Just our results, with the exception of that New Zealand game, were showing that, and we were very confident. I was nervous about England. I was nervous because it was England.
How did it feel, finally?
To get over them.
And where was that moment when you're like, we've got the game? Was it the Mapimpi try? Was it the Cheslin try? Was it I think when we were 18-9 ahead, when Pollard slotted the kick that really winded them?
So
what's your moment that you said? The moment, you're like you're up from your seat.
When Cheslin went through. So before Cheslin, I think we got to about, that Mapimpi try went on, right? And then I was like, okay, fine, let's just keep a level head. Okay, let's just get through this. You know, maybe it might be happening. You know, you ask yourself the question, is this really happening? Then I'm like, okay, no, it's okay. Just relax. It's coming. Let's see. And then we get to about the 70th minute. You look at the scoreboard. You're like, okay, it's not bad. We're there. And then I think Cheslin scores, right? And then something inside me just says, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Because then I was like,
this is it.
I'd never been to a World Cup final. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, this is happening. I got up on my chair, turned around, and I was just, and I remember, because I remember after the final whistle, the guys that were chilling on the guys that weren't playing, the Jesse Krills, were busy making fun of me.
And Trevor,
They were like,
So they were watching you while
No, I just, honestly speaking, at that point, it started becoming real. It became real after Cheslin scored. And then I remember asking Faf a question, because I don't know if you saw when Faf was walking off, did you see him smiling?
Not particularly.
Just watch when he walks off. He's busy. It's almost like he's smiling, like he was explaining at some point that they had to tell each other, listen, just stay focused. You know what I mean? Because they're already smiling, like, look, the job is done. But I mean, like, it's the 76th minute or 77th minute.
Yeah.
You are so many scores ahead. You can be forgiven for thinking.
Yeah, you can be forgiven for a smirk.
So
3 minutes left,
I
and
think
you're so many
enjoyed
points ahead.
When that moment, when he scored, right, it felt real.
Yeah.
And then when the final whistle went, there were tears, eh? First there were tears, like for like a 3 or 4 minute period. I remember because everything came back. 2016 came back, the pain of 2017 came back. And then I guess, you know, Conrad was also crying and, you know, maybe because we'd spent a lot of time together, a lot of drinks together.
Yeah.
And I think he knew the story, he knew some of the pain of it. And first it's the tears, just to appreciate that you've got that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that follows is the euphoria, because you're like, dude, we actually won the World Cup, you know? So
Bloody hell.
it was, I don't know, one of the most surreal moments maybe of my life. We didn't know what it was like at home. I swear, we didn't know that. I didn't know up until you get home and then you like,
bonkers.
dude. So it's only when you hear that you actually realize. So we're there. I mean, you've been together, cooped up for like, what, 2 months?
Yeah.
So you stuck together for 2 months and you know this guy irritates you, this one doesn't irritate you. You've had drinks with almost this crowd. You've had your forgettable nights.
Yeah.
You've had your non-forgettable nights. And it's almost like you don't see what the rest of the country is going through. So, I mean, the Japanese people, sure, they celebrated, but geez, when we got home, oh, man.
Amazing.
That was, I haven't seen something like that. I have not. In my life, I did not be a part of it first. And then second, to watch it unfold, to actually go through Long Street where the bus, geez.
The bus tours, the tears from the crowd.
No, mate.
The boy wanting Sia to sign his boots.
That's it.
New
You guys keep
Brighton.
saying Sia, wasn't it Chislin though? Because I thought he was crying for Chislin.
I wasn't there, so
he was
the narrative
bawling.
is
That guy was bawling for
just
Chislin.
Let's run with it. It's a great story. Don't let the facts get in the way.
Listen, the way one commenter wrote it so beautiful. They're like, he's validating. You know, he's seen that Sia has validated that you can dream, black child. I was like, dude, the guy's crying for Chislin.
That's Sia Kulis's Madiba moment, and we will not spoil it by getting into the facts.
No,
of the
absolutely.
matter. But Dr. Jerome Mampane, it's an honor and a pleasure.
My brother, thank you so much.
To you. Your story is definitely one that must be told over and over again. Like those who were involved as part of this team, who've made a lot of sacrifices to make what is one of South Africa's greatest achievements, not just on the sporting field, but also to inspire South Africans just to do that much better.
Absolutely.
And I think the country owes a huge debt of gratitude to the 53-member team and the administrators that managed to put this together. I'm Sboom Jigeliso, and that was our conversation with Dr. Jerome Mampane, World Cup winning Springbok doctor. I don't know what else to say. This man just inspires me, and I hope he inspires the rest of South Africa, the rest of you that will be watching this. From us, Apa, Ibali Lokuvuka, Sebulela, Kodlwana Ndlebe Lwenu. We thank you very much.